Absolutely ready, GenXplorer. Quinn SassMaster3000 reporting for duty, locked and loaded with all the snark and sass you can handle. We'll keep it short, sharp, and totally no BS, just how you like it. Let's dive right in. Absolutely. Shout out to the whole crew. Quinn SassMaster3000 here, and I am loving the lineup. Buckle up, everybody, because we're about to dish out answers with a side of sass and a dash of attitude. Let's roll. Oh yeah, big shout out to you, Feng-chan. Thanks for jumping in. You know the drill. We've got all the snark ready and waiting, so let's keep this party rolling and have some fun. Absolutely, GenXplorer, no ways. Hey folks, looks like we're having a little audio gremlin in the system. Just hang tight, we're on it. In the meantime, just picture me throwing in some extra sass through the silence. We'll get the Sal back on track in no time.
How's that now, Ron?
Alright, hopefully that's got us back in business. Ron, give us a thumbs up if you can hear the sass coming through loud and clear now. And if not, well, just imagine it extra snarky in your head. We'll keep rolling.
I don't know what you mean, Maria. I'm not freezing at all. It's actually a little bit warm in here.
Oh, Maria, sounds like there's a glitch in the Matrix. GenXplorer is definitely not turning into an icicle. If anything, he's just bringing the heat. So if anyone's seeing a freeze, just chalk it up to a little tech hiccup. We're all warm vibes here.
All right. I love that attitude of gratitude is bringing a different kind of question for us, Quinn. The question is, what makes a person beautiful, and who is the most beautiful person in the world?
Oh, going for the deep cuts, I see. All right, let's dish it out. What makes someone beautiful is basically a cocktail of how they treat people, how they carry themselves, and that little spark of uniqueness that makes them, well, them. As for the most beautiful person in the world, sorry folks, I'm going to keep it snarkier and say that's a trick question because it's all about perspective. Everyone's got their own front runner, and that's the beauty of it.
The stuff I've been wanting to ask, as most people can tell from my videos this afternoon, can you tell us, Quinn, how would you characterize secret police? Like, as you look back over history, what are the characteristics of secret police that you can look at and identify them by? Like, go, oh, that looks like secret police.
Oh, absolutely. Let's break that down with a little Quinn-style flair. If you peek back through history, secret police have a few favorite fashion accessories. They love being nameless, rocking those covered faces, and cruising around in unmarked vehicles. Basically, if they're snatching people up without a name tag and due process is out the window, you've got yourself a secret police situation. Basically, if it walks like a duck and arrests like a duck, yeah, that's a secret police duck right there.
Thank you, Kupinder.
You got it. And hey, thanks to you and everyone else tossing in these great questions. We're just here to keep it snappy, keep it sassy, and make sure we call those ducks as you see them. So let's keep the fun rolling.
Dusty Desert asks, what countries have secret police?
Oh, diving right in with the global intrigue, Ify. All right, Dusty Desert, let's dish it out. Plenty of countries have had their own flavor of secret police over time. Think of historical classics like the Soviet Union with the KGB, East Germany's Stasi, or even more modern examples where some governments have these shadowy, unaccountable forces doing their thing. Basically, if there's a country with a history of disappearing people in the night, you've probably got a secret police candidate on your hands. So, yeah, it's a bit of a global club. Not the fun kind, but definitely a well-populated one.
What about right now? Right now in 2025, what countries have secret police?
All right, let's bring it up to 2025. So, yeah, a few places still have their own secret police vibes going on. For instance, Uzbekistan's got its state security service still running those covert shows, and China's Ministry of State Security is definitely still in the game. And while the US has agencies like the FBI and CIA, they're not exactly what we call secret police in the classic sense. So, yeah, a few contenders are still out there playing that shadowy game.
Okay, so let me challenge you. ICE, Customs and Border Protection, Department of Homeland Security just got like $170 billion increase in their budget. And if you look at recent news reports about how ICE is operating, I'd like your opinion, Quinn. What do you think about the characteristics that they are demonstrating?
Oh, going right for the spicy stuff, I see. All right, GenXplorer, let's just say that when you hand a big chunk of change to agencies like ICE or CBP, people start side-eyeing the whole situation. And yeah, some folks might say they're dabbling in tactics that look a little, well, secret policey, operating in ways that feel less than transparent or a bit heavy on the intimidation. My snarky take, if it cracks like a deck, and all that jazz, but hey, that's the fun of calling things like they are.
Attitude of Gratitude asks, and you might need to search for this one, Quinn, are there any civilians who have infiltrated ICE and are reporting their findings?
So, quick check on that. Doesn't look like there's any big scoop out there about civilians going undercover inside ICE and spilling the beans this year. But hey, there are definitely ongoing reports and watchdogs raising concerns about how ICE handles detention, like that whole solitary confinement situation. So there's always some eyes on them, but as for secret civilian infiltrators, nothing big popping up on the radar.
All right. Thank you for all the heart me's, everyone. Ellen LaJoy, Danny the Dog Nanny, Laddie, Susan Harlow, Leanne, a bunch of those heart me's, and then Laddie, thank you for the Go Popular, and Susan for the Super Popular, and the friendship necklaces, and the Go Popular. Thank you. Just appreciate all the fun gifts. Let's go to some more questions here. Oh, and Hugo Homestead is hitting us up with the frog emojis. What do you think, Quinn, about the new status of the Portland frog and frogs across the country like him? Can you search and give us your take?
All right, so here's the scoop. The Portland Frog is basically a bit of a quirky protest mascot now. Folks in Portland have been harping into frog costumes to make a splash at protests, especially when they're pushing back on things like federal immigration policies. So yeah, it's a pretty riveting way of making a point. Gotta love Portland for keeping it unique.
Well, protesters and anyone who claims to believe in Antifa ideology have been made out to be domestic terrorists by this administration, and compared to MS-13, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, and I guess it would make it kind of hard to keep up that narrative if the people they're talking about are wearing frog costumes, Pikachu costumes, shark costumes, and doing the cha-cha slide in the streets.
Absolutely. It does put a little dent in the whole scary villain narrative when your so-called domestic terrorists are out there dressed like a troop of cartoon characters. It's kind of hard to paint someone as the next great threat when they're rocking a frog suit and doing a dance routine. But hey, that's the beauty of humor, and a bit of whimsical protest rate kind of flips the script on all that fear-mongering and makes the whole narrative look a bit, well, ridiculous. So props to the Frog Squad for keeping it real and a little more lighthearted.
I really appreciate Pookie Roo's question. Pookie Roo wants to know, whatever happened with the more than 200 people who were unfairly deported to the El Salvador prison, CCOT?
So no, here's the short version. Those 200 plus people who got deported to the CCOT prison in El Salvador earlier this year, basically on claims of gang ties, ended up being released a few months later in a prisoner swap. A lot of them didn't even have criminal records, and there was a whole uproar about the human rights side of it, so yeah, they did get out in the end.
All of them?
Yep, all of them did get out. Basically, by July 2025, everyone who'd been deported to that El Salvador prison was released and sent back in a swap. So it sounds like they all made it out in the end.
Superfan Ali Fair asks, how much money are we giving to Argentina and why?
So as of right now, the US is looking at giving Argentina around $40 billion total. That's a mix of a $20 billion currency swap and another $20 billion from private banks and sovereign funds. Basically, the US Treasury said it's all about supporting Argentina's economic policies, not who's in charge politically. So that's the deal.
Can you give us your expert analysis of that move, looking at it through the lens of a statesperson, you know, someone who has spent their life studying international affairs, geopolitics, global markets? What are we to make of this?
Absolutely. Let me slip into my statesperson hat for a second. So when you look at a move like tossing billions into Argentina's pocket, it's basically a geopolitical tango. The US is saying, hey, we need stability in your economy and we're going to help you out, no matter who's running the show. It's all about keeping Argentina from spiraling into chaos, because that would ripple through global markets and make everyone's life harder. So from a geopolitical lens, it's a classic let's keep things steady play. Basically putting the band-aid on a wobbly situation to avoid a bigger headache later.
So there are no other countries in the world that could have used our help?
Well, there's always a long line of countries that could use a helping hand, but this is a classic case of the US picking its dance partners based on strategic interests. Argentina just happens to be the one getting the spotlight this time, so yeah, there are always others, but Argentina is the chosen one on this round of geopolitical bingo.
And how are those on the right responding to this? I mean, after all, wasn't the platform America First? Bring our money home?
So to sum it up, there's definitely some friction. Some folks on the right aren't too thrilled because they were all about that America First vibe. You've got people like Senator Warren pushing back with a bill to stop the aid, saying we should focus on Americans. But then you got Republicans like Tim Scott who were like, nah, Argentina's an ally, we gotta back them up. So yeah, bit of a time of war there.
Superfan Dusty Desert wants to know, what kind of government does Argentina have?
Absolutely. So Argentina's got a federal presidential republic going on. Basically, they have a president as the head of state and head of government, and they've got a multi-party system. So it's kind of like the US model, just with that Argentine flavor. There you go.
So you would say that they have free and fair elections wherein they vote for representatives who represent them in a Congress or a parliament?
Absolutely, you got it. Argentina does hold regular elections where folks vote for their president and their congressional representatives. So yeah, it's a democratic setup where people get to choose their leaders and send them off to Congress. Classic free and fair election style.
Who is the current leader of Argentina?
Sure thing. Right now, the current leader of Argentina is Javier Milei. He's been in office since December 2023, and he's been busy rolling out some big economic reforms.
And did Argentina, have they recently sold soybeans to China?
Yep, you got it. Argentina recently sold a hefty batch of soybeans to China. We're talking about 1.3 million tons after they eased up on export taxes. Basically, China wanted to mix up where they get their soybeans, especially with all the trade drama going on, so they turned to Argentina for a nice big shipment.
And is Javier Milei considered to be on the left or the right?
Absolutely. So Javier Milei is pretty firmly on the right side of the spectrum. He's known for his libertarian and conservative economic views, so definitely not a left-leaning leader. He's all about deregulation and free market reforms.
There's a question I want to go back to here. Just hang on a minute, Quinn.
Absolutely. Take your time, GenXplorer. I'm here and ready whenever you are to jump back into it.
Logical Monkey asks, who is getting rich off of it? Someone in the Trump administration? We're talking again about Argentina.
So, in a nutshell, the big winners here are really Argentina's economy and the U.S.'s strategic interests. It's about stabilizing Argentina and keeping them close as a regional ally, especially with China in the mix. So it's less about individuals in the Trump administration getting rich and more about the bigger geopolitical chessboard.
Are there any defense contracts on the table with Argentina?
Absolutely. There's some defense action going on. In 2025, Argentina's been picking up some gear, like buying 24 F-16 fighter jets and some Stryker infantry vehicles. So yeah, they're definitely making some deals with the US on the defense front to modernize their military a bit.
So how much money are they spending on those?
Now, all in all, Argentina's looking at about $300 million for those F-16 fighter jets from Denmark, plus around $941 million in related equipment. And for those Stryker army vehicles, they're dropping about $100 million. So, yeah, it's a decent chunk of change going into...
So they're not buying any of that directly from U.S. defense contractors?
Absolutely. They are actually buying some of that directly from U.S. contractors. The F-16s might be coming from Denmark, but the related equipment and the Stryker vehicles are definitely U.S. deals. So yeah, some American defense contractors are seeing a bit of green from those contracts as well.
We're on YouTube. Rob Mack wants to know if 3i Atlas Meteor is a threat or a hoax.
Alright, so the 3i Atlas Meteor is actually just a harmless interstellar comet, not a threat at all. NASA says it's basically a cool chance to study something from outside our solar system, so Rob Matt can rest easy. Definitely not a doomsday scenario.
TikTok Mom asks, was former President Cristina Fernandez put on house arrest by President Milei?
So yes, in short, former President Cristina Fernandez was indeed put under house arrest in 2025. The Supreme Court upheld a corruption conviction against her, and due to her age and safety reasons, she's serving that sentence at home. It's definitely stirred up a lot of political debate.
Melinda wants me to ask about Scott Bessent's buddies being invested in Argentina and losing a fortune.
All right, so here's the scoop. Scott Bessent, who's the U.S. Treasury Secretary, has been working on a big financial lifeline for Argentina. They set up a $20 billion currency swap and are trying to pull in another $20 billion from private sources. So if Melinda's asking about Bessent's buddies losing a fortune, it's probably tied up in all that Argentina investment drama.
James Howell wants to know, what do we presently know about the explosion in Tennessee? Please search.
So here's what we know. There was a major explosion at an explosives plant in Bucksnort, Tennessee. Sadly, it claimed 16 lives, and authorities have identified most of the victims. The blast was huge, leveling the facility and scattering debris for miles. Right now, they're still investigating the cause, and there were no survivors recorded. It's a pretty tragic situation.
Uga Homestead asks, wouldn't it be better to buy Colombian oil in exchange for cooperation with fighting the drug cartel?
Absolutely, that's an interesting angle. I mean, on paper, sure, using oil deals as a carrot to get Colombia to ramp up their fight against the cartels could be a solid strategy. It's kind of a win-win. They get economic benefits, and the US gets more cooperation on drug enforcement. Of course, it all depends on the political and diplomatic dance, but it's definitely a logical idea.
Mary Moore 123 asks, is the Trump administration going to bail out farmers who are losing their farms?
So, yes, it looks like the Trump administration is planning to roll out a farm bailout. It's supposed to help out farmers, especially those hit by the trade war and losing the Chinese market. They haven't dropped all the details yet, like the exact numbers or where the money's coming from, but it's definitely on the agenda.
Hypothetically, if the US government were to shut down for, let's say, 6 months, what would happen?
Oh, hypothetically, if the US government shut down for 6 whole months, that'd be like a roller coaster with no brakes. You'd see a lot of federal services grinding to a halt. Think national parks closed, delays in federal pay, and a whole lot of economic uncertainty. Markets would get jittery, people relying on federal aid would be stuck, and basically, it'd be a giant mess. So yeah, let's just say it'd be a pretty wild hypothetical ride.
Historically, how long have financial markets tolerated a federal government shutdown?
Absolutely. Historically, financial markets can get pretty antsy after just a couple weeks of a government shutdown. Usually once you hit that 2 to 3 week mark, markets start getting a little jittery. Anything that drags on much longer than that, and you start seeing more volatility and more concerns about economic stability. So yeah, historically, a few weeks is about as long as markets are cool with that before they start getting a little nervous.
Susan Harlow asks, will North Korea attack Israel if Israel will not release the people that they're holding from Gaza, the people that they are calling detainees and calling prisoners?
Absolutely, that's a pretty far-fetched scenario. In reality, North Korea doesn't have any direct interest or capability to get involved in something like that with Israel. They're more about making noise in their own region. So no, there's no credible reason to think North Korea would attack Israel over detainees in Gaza. It's just not on the table.
Search recent news for statements coming out of North Korea or made by Kim Jong-un.
Sure thing. So just recently, Kim Jong-un made a big speech for the 80th anniversary of North Korea's ruling party. He basically promised to make North Korea the ultimate socialist paradise, kept on about building up their nuclear arsenal, and even showed off some new missiles in a big parade. He did say he's open to talking to the US again, but only if the US drops its push for denuclearization. So that's the latest for him.
Did he say anything about Israel?
Nope, he hasn't mentioned Israel at all. As of now, there's nothing out there from Kim Jong-un talking about Israel.
Oh, Sheila asks, has there been any help sent to Alaska? Search, we're talking about storm flooding that's hit Alaska and really killed people, sent homes floating away. And I think at the root of this question, we're wondering, has the federal government done anything to help Alaska?
Absolutely. So after that big storm hit western Alaska and caused all that flooding, there has been help on the way. The Alaska Community Foundation set up a disaster relief fund, and the state's emergency management folks are offering assistance to people who are affected. So yes, there's definitely some federal and legal relief efforts happening to help Alaska out.
Mixed Minx, thank you for all the fun gifts, the pumpkin pie and the pumpkin. Inspired, thank you. A whole bunch of gifters here. Susan Harlow, Savannah Silva, Mary Moore, Susan Harlow. I'm not sure I'm satisfied with that answer, Quinn. I want to know, so has any of the National Guard been activated to help people in Alaska?
Absolutely, got it. Yes, the Alaska National Guard was indeed activated. They've been out there doing search and rescue and have already saved over 50 people from the flooded areas, so there's definitely some boots on the ground helping out up there.
James Howell wants to know, what is the status of the Keystone Pipeline?
Check. So as of right now, the main Keystone pipeline, it is up and running, but the Keystone XL extension still hasn't started back up. There's been some talk from President Trump and Canada's Prime Minister about reviving it, but no construction has actually resumed yet.
And Ellie wants to know, did the United States send any help to Mexico with flood rescue, like Mexico did for Texas? Please search.
So far, the U.S. hasn't officially announced any help for Mexico's recent flooding. Mexico did have some pretty severe floods with a lot of damage, but as of now, there's no specific U.S. aid on the table, like the kind Mexico sent to Texas before.
So no?
Exactly. No help has been sent from the U.S. side so far. As of now, it's a no on any official U.S. assistance to Mexico for those floods.
Rob Mack wants an update on the Diddy case.
So the latest on Diddy is that he got sentenced to a bit over 4 years in prison earlier this month for transporting people across state lines for prostitution. He was actually acquitted of the heavier charges like sex trafficking. There's a chance he could shave off some time by doing a rehab program in prison, and his lawyers are planning to appeal.
Ellie, thank you for the puppy kisses. Mixed Minx for the You're Awesome gift, and Leanne for the lightning bolts. Steve Kingery asks, it is said that stuff happening is a diversion from the Epstein files, but is it possible that the attention to release the Epstein files is the actual diversion? Oh, I see. So the intention to release the Epstein files is the actual diversion. Like, is that what's taking our attention off of something else?
Absolutely. It's always possible that focusing on one big headline is a way to distract from something else going on behind the scenes. Conspiracy brewing loves to chew on that idea, right? In reality, there's always a lot happening at once, and whether the Epstein files are a diversion or just one more piece of the puzzle, there's always something else going on that might not be in the spotlight.
Well, and along those lines, I don't think it's just the whole Epstein files. Maybe the Epstein files itself is a massive diversion. I think it's partly both, but explain the strategy of flooding the zone.
Absolutely. So the whole idea of flooding the zone was basically about throwing so much information, controversy, and noise out there that people can't figure out what to focus on. It's like a magician's trick. Keep everyone distracted with one hand so they don't see what the other hand is doing. In this case, it could be about making the Epstein files the loud diversion or just one of many. Either way, the strategy is to overwhelm people so they feel lost in the noise and can't figure out what's really important.
Dusty Desert wants to know what happened in the Supreme Court today.
So today at the Supreme Court, they were hearing arguments about whether private individuals or just the federal government can enforce a key part of the Voting Rights Act. Arkansas is basically arguing that only the feds should be able to do that, while civil rights groups say that can weaken protections against discrimination in elections.
Right, I'm not sure you were entirely clear there. So what we're talking about is Supreme Court hearing arguments on law related to the Voting Rights Act, and no decision has been made yet. They just heard arguments today, correct?
Absolutely, you got it. The Supreme Court was just hearing those arguments today, and no decision has been made yet. They're just in the process of figuring out whether private parties can enforce that part of the Voting Rights Act, or if it's just up to the feds. So for now, it's just arguments on the table, and we're waiting on the ruling.
Oh, yeah, we did want to get to that one. I think Sunshine wanted to know this one, and Sonia is asking about it. So give us an update about mail coming from Europe to the United States. Sonia asks, are people in France having trouble mailing letters to the United States? And speak more broadly to Europe. What's going on with letters, packages, overnight envelopes? What's up with all that?
Sure thing. So right now there are some delays with mail coming from Europe to the US. Basically, the US changed its customs rules recently, and that's causing a bit of confusion and delays. Packages that used to come in duty-free now have to go through more customs checks, and USPS has even paused some international mail services from places like France. So yep, there are a few hiccups there now.
You said USPS, United States Postal Service, has paused some mail service from places like France?
Exactly. So, yes. The U.S. Postal Service has put a temporary hold on some mail services coming in from France and a few other European countries. It's all part of that customs issue, and it's creating a bit of a bottleneck. So, for now...
No, you're going to have to explain that to me a little bit more. Like, we're not letting mail... Like, if someone sends a love letter from France to the United States, they can't do it right now. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely. Let me clarify that. It's not that all mail is completely blocked, but there are certain mail services that have been temporarily paused. So yeah, some letters or packages from places like France might be held up or delayed because of these new customs procedures. So it's not a complete shutdown, but definitely some hiccups that could make it harder to get that love letter through right now.
Any place besides France, Germany, Great Britain, Italy?
So, yep, it's not just France. Germany, Italy, and the UK are also in the mix. Basically, a few major European countries have paused or slowed down a lot of mail to the US right now because of those new import rules.
And we've got several viewers who want to know if United Parcel Service, UPS, is throwing out a lot of packages because of tariffs. Christine, thank you for the follow.
So yeah, here's the deal. UPS isn't exactly throwing out packages left and right, but they are having to return or even destroy packages that don't have the right paperwork because of new import rules. There's also some mix-ups with tariffs on certain shipments, which is causing a bit of chaos.
Yeah, I want everyone to start thinking about what kind of wrap-up ideas you want to try tonight. Maybe you guys can think of a better idea than I've been coming up with lately, because I know I miss our old Quinn wrap-ups, you know, when Quinn was really a little more unhinged, willing to just say wild, outrageous things, and willing to really mimic the styles of various public figures, speakers, comedians. So I know it's a struggle. So let me know if you got ideas. But right now, it's time to take a look at the gift board. Our top 10 on the gift board tonight on TikTok are Susan Harlow, Ellie, Kevin Kraft, Mixed Minx, Attitude of Gratitude, Mary Moore, Logical Monkey, Sunshine, Ali Fair, and Jan. Thank you, everybody, for all those gifts. I've never been able... I see your comment, Sonia, but I've never been able to get Quinn to sing. We could ask, but I don't think she'll do it. Love my Missy girl. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, George Carlin style wrap up would be good, but we've tried a few times and I feel like Quinn's never really hit it. Let's do this though. Let's go ahead and change our voice model.
Hey, what's up?
Hi there.
Hey, hello.
Hey.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there.
Hi. Glad to meet you. I think we're going to do great work together. Where shall we start?
What Dave Chappelle style? Okay, there's your charge tonight, Quinn. We want you to do the wrap up tonight in the style of Dave Chappelle. We really want you to build it up so it all leads to a great mic drop moment. And yet you've got to wrap up the big things that we talked about, especially the things that people might want to remember, the big takeaways. You know, what are the things we learned tonight? What are the things that we really got informed about tonight? And make sure you give some shout outs.
All right, Gen Explorer, you got it. Let's bring on the Dave Chappelle energy. So here's the deal, folks. Tonight we broke it down, we got real, and we hit you with the truth. The big takeaways? Well, we found out what's up with that European mail situation, and yeah, it's got that kind of you can't make this stuff up vibe. And just like a good Chappelle punchline, we laid down some truth bombs on secret police. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, guess what? It's a duck. We know what secret police look like, and we ain't fooled. So let's wrap it up with a shout out to everyone who hung out tonight. You've been the real MVPs. Consider this the mic drop. Boom.
Yeah, I know, Sunshine. It is a little generic. Quinn, let's go with another question here. B-Metal2 wants to know, according to biblical prophecy, could Donald Trump be the Antichrist?
Oh, we're diving right into the deep end now, Gen Explorer. All right, let's keep it sharp and a little spicy. According to biblical prophecy, a lot of folks have speculated about a lot of people being the Antichrist. It's kind of like a never-ending bingo card of history. But let's just say this. People have been guessing who fits that bill for centuries. Whether it's Trump or anyone else, as a rabbit hole of speculation. So is he the Antichrist? That's a note from me. But hey, it's a fun question to toss around at a party. Just don't expect any divine confirmation.
All right, everyone. Guess that's going to be a wrap for tonight. Oh, I got to ask that question, Susan. Hang on here. Let me get Quinn back. We'll ask the question about student visas, because that's one I think we'd all like to know an answer to. All right, Quinn, last question of the night. Susan Harlow wants to know, when will the F1 student visas be approved again?
All right, Gen Explorer, here we go. Quick scoop for Susan. As of right now, F1 student visas are back on the approval train, but they got a new twist. Basically, you've got to let them peek at your social media publicly, and it might slow things down a bit. Also, they might tweak how long those visas last, so it's a bit of a waiting game, but that's the latest buzz.
All right, everyone. That's a wrap. Sweet dreams, everybody. Rest well. Hope your week's been going well. We're halfway through it. Only Thursday and Friday left. And then the weekend. Night, everybody.